Shankara Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Shankara Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Uma Ramana Shiva Shankara Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya.
Thank you so much, Debbie and Sister Joey. So my dear friends, a very, very heartfelt welcome to you. Please know your presence is a blessing. And as per custom, I shall ring this bell, which means you are convened at that time. You cannot move after that, unless you make an excuse to go to the restroom. I should tell you there's one up here, there are two down there, and that could be your excuse for escaping. Which brings me to my most favorite Sufi saying, we are flexible. Blessed are the flexible, and how will you complete it? For they will never be bent out of shape. Okay, my friends, I shall officially convened. And as we always do in our services, we feel it's mandatory, we must honor the divine feminine. And I'll request you to do a song for the divine feminine.
Chaitanya Mai Satya Mai Paramesh my Satya my
Thank you so much, Sister Ayla. Let's have a few moments of silence and allow that beautiful vibration of the divine feminine, as the mystics say, to perfume our hearts. My friends, at Interfaith Community Sanctuary, we always have a tradition also of, besides honoring the divine feminine, we call in the ancestors and honor our first peoples, and I've asked Joey to do that.
Welcome, beloveds. Look at all those smiling faces. I'm so happy to see you here today. I'm getting the signal that you can't hear me. Okay, thank you. All right, so I was asking for some divine inspiration as I was sitting there knowing I was going to come up here. And the word that I kept hearing was gratitude. And so I would like us, I want to spend just a few minutes on this. I don't want to gloss over it. Sometimes we just kind of make this a little blip in the program, but today I'd really like to spend just a few minutes on it because it's important. So let's take a deep breath first. Center ourselves and think about those ancestors first that brought you up, who were responsible for feeding you and housing you and clothing you. And let us say thank you. Those are the first ancestors. And then as we move forward in the timeline, let us think about our teachers. Any teacher that you had in your life that really touched your heart or expanded your mind or soul. And we say thank you. And then maybe as we grow a little older, we have friends that are important to us, that have touched our hearts, that have been there for us. And we say, thank you. And then in the spiritual realm, our spiritual teachers, any saints, prophets that we are especially grateful for, who have touched our hearts and moved us and maybe motivated us to go beyond the normal, everyday aspirations that we have towards higher goals. Maybe they have motivated us in some way. And we say thank you. Now, right here, right now, I'm going to shift to other ancestors. And those ancestors are the indigenous people who lived on this land. They kept this land beautifully. They were in sync and at one with nature. They were the first stewards here. And we are so grateful. They're still among us, too. Every day, they are living and keeping those sacred Native American, indigenous practices going. They're a quiet influence, but they are there, and we are grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joey. Now again, my friends, this wonderful practice of simple silence for a few seconds. Okay, my friends, not too long. The show must go on, so we'll start speaking now. So once again, a very heartfelt welcome to you here, and also those wonderful people in cyberspace. Heartfelt welcome to you. So let's do a chant. As some of you know, I'm a chant junkie. Let's praise divinity, knowing that when we praise Spirit, God doesn't become holy, we become holy. Okay, let's do Allahu Allah. Allahu Allah, 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 Allahu Allah. Just the beloved women. Just the beloved men. Family all together. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Once softly. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. Twice aloud. Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah, Allahu Allah. And once again, becoming very still, being open to what the mystics call the glow of presence. Being open to the glow of presence. Thank you, my dear friends. So today the topic in our house of worship for this month is motivating ourselves for spiritual practices. I repeat, motivating ourselves for something which, in fact, all the great sages have said, spiritual practices. Because the truth is, we don't volunteer to engage in spiritual practices, even though there is a voice within us, the mystics say. For example, the 13th century sage Rumi, he uttered, there is a kiss we want all our lives, a touch of spirit on the body. There is a kiss we want all our lives, a touch of spirit on the body. And then that 8th, 9th century female sage Rabia, who said, even though all my desires are fulfilled, all my earthly desires are fulfilled, but there is a disease in my breast no doctor can cure. There is a disease in my breast no doctor can cure. Only union with that friend can cure it. There is a disease in my breast no doctor can cure. Only union with that friend can cure it. But do we feel this? Not really, because most of us, including myself, we are in a hypnotic trance. We trot along. We see what's happening. We go to school, if possible. We get married. We do certain things. We die. That's life. Until something awakens us. Something awakens us. It could be a joyous event. Could be a simple sunset, birth of a child. It's of course, it's celebration, child is born, but really, a mother is born, a father is born, and that can completely change your life. But the great teachers say, because human beings are unmindful, because we human beings are unmindful, usually it takes something difficult, a crisis, sometimes a tragedy, the passing away of our beloved Sister Reverend Karen Lindquist, death of loved ones, a change in material circumstances, could be a difficult divorce. But when that happens, suddenly we awaken. I love that poetry by Hafiz, 14th century. Something missing in my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft, my voice so tender, my need for God absolutely clear. Something missing in my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft, my voice so tender, my need for God absolutely clear. So just be with it. What was it for you that awakened you to the mystery we are immersed in, which we don't think about until you reach my age, and then suddenly you realize this is the last chapter of my life. Where am I going? I never thought about this. I did, but that's a knowledge of the tongue. I'm talking about what Rumi calls, Brother Jamal, move from a knowledge of the tongue to a knowledge of the heart. That's when you come alive. That's when you realize the importance of spiritual practices in this bewildering world. I have no idea where I've come from, what I'm doing here, where I'm going. That's why I love the words of Rumi. He says about all these matters, if you remember that verse, that utterance, sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. Sell your cleverness and buy bewilderment. But it's at moments when we awaken, we realize, I want to become a better human being. I want to be more Christ-like. I want my life to have some meaning, some purpose, rather than being in this prolonged hypnotic trance. The holy books say that's when begins the first day of your life. when you have become a seeker. And that's when I realized I need to transform my ego from a commanding master into a personal assistant. Requires a lot of work, a lot of compassionate self-witnessing to transform my ego from a commanding master into a personal assistant so that I can connect with my divine spark. Rumi says, you know, Jamal, the greatest regret you might have on your deathbed is that I have lived without tasting the water of my own essence. I have lived without tasting the water of my own essence. I never realized who I really am. I was my personality. I got stuck in my personality, which is nothing more than a bundle of conditioned reactions to life's circumstances. If I get stuck in my personality, I am stuck my entire life in dramas and melodramas. And that's okay, but I have missed out on the purpose of my life. What is the purpose of my life? I love the words that came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in a dream, where God says, tell this to humanity. God says, I was a secret treasure. I was a secret treasure, and I long to be known. And so I created you and the worlds, visible and invisible. I was a secret treasure, and I longed. This is God speaking. I was a secret treasure, and I longed to be known. And so I created you, the worlds, visible and invisible. I love the poetry of Rumi. Rumi says, God revealed to me a sublime secret. God revealed to me a sublime secret. God said, I am made whole, W-H-O-L-E, I am made whole by you. God said, I am made whole by you. Each soul completes me. What a mysterious journey. Okay, so we got to transform the ego. The Quran says there are two more things you have to do. Other books say the same thing. You've got to purify your heart. When you have an evil thought, evil deed, the Quran says it creates a rust on your heart. How do you remove that rust? Prophet Muhammad said, for every rust there is a polish. And the polish for the rust of the heart is remembrance of God, meaning use God's solvents to cleanse the heart. Patience, love, compassion, forgiveness. Bring to God a polished heart. What else can you offer God? Everything, Jamal, that you have comes from divinity. The only thing you can offer to God is a polished heart, so Allah's face is reflected in that. That's not finished. The Quran says, other holy books say, open your heart. Jamal, your heart is clenched because of your conditioned biases, your personality. Open your heart. Break open your heart. One way is to embrace not only my 10,000 joys of life, but also my 10,000 sorrows of life. All feelings are sacred. That's why I love the verse of Rumi. Take a pickaxe and break open your stony heart. The heart's matrix is glutted with rubies. Springs of laughter are buried in your chest. Why don't I do that? Because it's very, very, very inconvenient. It's hard work. I love the metaphor of Rumi. Rumi says, doing this work, let me give you a metaphor. It's like you want the tattoo of a lion on your shoulder as a symbol of doing this inner work. And you go to the tattooist who starts to prick, and he says, oh my God, that hurts. Which part of the lion is it? Oh, it's the right ear. Dispense with that. I don't need that. Carry on. He goes on. Oh my God, it hurts. What is that? That's the tail. Oh, I don't need that. Get rid of that. Continue. The work never finishes. Because this inner work is very inconvenient, but critical. I avoid this inner inconvenient work. About polishing the heart. Rumi says, Brother Jamal, about purifying the heart, Rumi says, Jamal, if you get irritated by every rub, how will the mirror of your heart ever be polished? Rumi goes on to say, I'm amazed at the seeker of purity, that when it comes for the time for polishing, Jamal, you complain of rough handling. I complain of rough handling. So we'll all have rough handlings in our lives. Can I reframe that as an opportunity to build my spiritual muscles? Okay, just be with that for a few moments. Carrie, welcome. Good to see you in person. Why else do we need spiritual practices? If I say, I want to have social justice, how do I overcome social injustices? Sure, legislation, education are critical. But the root, fundamental work is, for me, if I want to overcome my racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, patriarchal abuse, homophobia, etc., 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 I have to overcome my conditioned biases, prejudices, stereotyping of the other. And this requires spiritual practices. Planetary degradation, the biggest problem we have, and something you have heard me say again and again, because it's said everywhere. That wonderful scientific advisor who said, for 30 years I thought the biggest environmental problems are loss of biodiversity, ecosystem collapse, climate change. And I thought with 30 years of good science we could overcome all of that. Alas, he says, I've realized now after 30 years that the biggest environmental problems are not loss of biodiversity, ecosystem collapse, climate change. The biggest environmental problems are selfishness, greed, apathy, indifference. These require spiritual practices. Okay, moving on. The other half of spiritual practices, besides doing the inner inconvenient work, is to be of service to God's creation. Am I being of service to God's creation? And the Holy Book says this is not just for God's sake. This is for your sake. Meaning, if you study history, if you study the books of all the sages, lately we've been studying the Book of Joy by Desmond Tutu, Dalai Lama, and the Book on Happiness by Oprah Winfrey and that Harvard professor Arthur Brooks. And they all say, all the scientific research shows that when somebody does a righteous moral deed, an act of service, could be just smiling at someone, thanking someone, any small righteous deed, it brings the being so much joy. They did an experiment about 270 or 300 people. They broke them into 3 groups. One group, they said, for 10 days, do an act of service. Could be very small. Other group, they said, have a good thought about someone. Pray for someone. And a third group, do something for yourself, which is very critical. Go, take yourself to a movie. Do it for 10 days. Then they tabulated the results. The ones who did engage in acts of service experienced the greatest joy. That's why I love that verse by Tagore. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and found life was service. I served, and lo, service was joy. Just be with that for a few moments. But please know, all the traditions emphasize one of the greatest acts of service is to be compassionate, gentle, loving with yourself. And that increases your capacity, my capacity, to be of authentic service to others. I'll have more time, I'll have more energy, I'll have better intentions if I serve myself also. Okay, just be with that for a few moments and allow any insights, as Rumi says, to splash in your heart. Okay, 2 or 3 other points, I'll be brief. One point is, as you might have noticed, if you've been reading the papers or listening to people, the attendance at houses of worship all over the world, particularly in the West, has diminished phenomenally. In fact, this kind of program where I'm preaching, you're just listening, they're finding out the young people don't like that. They want something more interactive, more music, more getting together, engaged in social services. But this cleric like me speaking to you, that's going out of fashion. Why? Many reasons, but one reason is they're finding out that the young people and the elderly people who no longer have vested interest, they're saying that all these religious institutions, I don't care if it's a mosque or a synagogue or a temple or a church or any center, they are so focused on 2 things, recruitment and fundraising. And they miss out on the heart of it, helping me to become more Christ-like, Buddha-like, Elohim-like, Allah-like, Krishna-like, for me to connect with you, to overcome my biases, for me to collaborate with you on some wonderful service project. One Sufi master says, the problem, he says, you have to put in 2 words, all houses of worship are suffering from deferred maintenance. Deferred maintenance. Rumi says even in his time, 13th century, he says to all these houses of institutions, the mosque at that time, stop indulging into all these trivial debates of minutiae of theological beliefs, unnecessary disputes, anger. He says, if you do that, and you've heard this many times before, you're like a bird that ties a snare, a knot around its leg, and then unties it. Makes the knot even more complex around the legs and unties it. This is the bird. Again, makes it even more complex and unties it to show off its strange skill. Forgetting the point is to escape. What the traditions say, your purpose in life is to become freed. Moksha, mukti in Buddhism, Hinduism. You want to be saved by being freed. In Islam, you want to be surrendered to God, freed from the ego. The other one I like very much from the Islamic Sufi tradition is this desire to convert somebody. By the way, I shouldn't say it badly, but if you are doing that, that's okay. If you believe in that, you are sincere about it. I've met a lot of sincere people who really want to convert me, and they're very lovely people. So I just tell them, please continue praying for me. And I mean it sincerely. Some of them lovely, lovely people. But the Sufis would say, the mystics would say, Jamal, it's a misdirection. And the example I always give you, you've heard this at least 50 times maybe? Or you're keeping count, maybe over that. There was a sincere ponder on this, because I was asked to meditate on this for days and weeks and months. There was a sincere, pious monkey who would go to neighborhood ponds or lakes to pluck the fish out of water to save it from a watery grave. I repeat, there was a sincere, pious monkey who would go to neighborhood ponds and lakes to pluck the fish out of water to save it from a watery grave. So just be with that. Just be with that. I want to tell you, it is spiritual practices that we are here today. What do I mean by that? You know, in 1992, I met our late beloved Reverend Karen Lindquist. We became very good friends. And we said, we want to build community. This is 1991, 92. As I always say, when my hair really was black at that time. And we said, we don't have a place. But we can gather some people, and people have homes. Those can become temples, mosques, synagogues, churches, whatever you call it, centers. So I started teaching a class on personal development, and that became the first congregation. And the different people's homes became houses of worship. So every Sunday, we would get together in my house or somebody else's house or somebody else's house. In those days, no internet, but there was an enthusiastic group of people doing what is called the phone tree, calling up people. We'll meet here, we'll meet there. And it's always potluck. We'd have chanting, we'd have very small presentation, but lots of interaction. And then people later on going for a walk, going to a movie, going to the cafe, really having fun. And that group, believe it or not, grew large. At one time we counted 700 people. You might say, wait a minute, which house fits that? Believe me, there were some people who had in a congregation that did fit at least 500 people. I remember in Madison Park, for example. And then we used to go to Guaymas Island for retreats, sometimes twice a year. And then suddenly, Karen and I said, you know, we're growing so big in numbers. It would be good to have a center. One place. How do we do that? We had no expertise. We didn't have that large sum of money. But we can do spiritual practices to become more complete, developed human beings, and then pray and pray. Pray with what is called increased necessity. That famous words of Rumi. Have you not noticed that only when a baby is born, the mother's chest becomes filled with milk? Why? Because there is increased necessity. So we prayed and prayed with increased necessity. And amazingly, what happened? It's a long story, and there's a story within a story. There was a period of struggle and difficulty also, but we were led to this place here. And I remember being here with Karen in 1997, 1998. Only Chris and Lila were here from the old congregation. And we talked about who we were, about different religions. And believe it or not, this place was given to us for free. So our congregation came in possession of this place for free. So I am very biased about the power of spiritual practices. I always jokingly say, but I mean it, my knees are still scraped in gratitude. Okay, I'll now end my talk by saying, so how do we, some people ask me all the time, friends of mine who really have become seekers, they want to become spiritual. How do I do these spiritual practices? I don't have time. The best way is to weave in, to combine simple spiritual practices in the course of one's daily life, including, don't forget, a very important spiritual work is services. I love the words of Prophet Muhammad you've heard, who said, Jamal, do good deeds according to your capacity. God never tires of giving rewards unless you tire of doing good deeds. The last line I like very much. The good deeds most loved by God are the ones that are done regularly, no matter how small they are. So I ask myself every day, Brother Jamal, what are some good deeds I could be doing regularly, no matter how small they are? I ask you this now. What could you be doing? Do good deeds according to your capacity. The good deeds most loved by God are the ones that are done regularly, no matter how small they are. Okay, that's service. Do that, I tell my friends. Then I say, weave in simple things like all the traditions say, practice silence. It doesn't matter what your religion is, what your belief is. Remember, there's no such thing as a Jewish silence or Islamic silence or Buddhist silence. It's just silence. If you don't believe in all these scriptures and spirituality, it's scientific. What Rumi said even applies today. When I'm too involved in this world, I'm like a fish out of water. I'm like a fish out of water, quivering and thrashing on the banks. I need to get back into the ocean of silence to become rejuvenated, renewed, strengthened, nurtured. And by the way, never say something I used to say, okay, I'll practice silence when I have time. It never happens. Choose a realistic time frame and build your schedule around that. I say if you want to meditate only for 3 minutes or 5 minutes, do it. And build your schedule around that. That's how you'll be able to increase it. Okay, so that's one, silence. Number two, which, by the way, these two books and all the other books say, simple practice of gratitude. In fact, I still remember on page 74 of the book by Oprah Winfrey and Arthur Brooks is this exercise. They say, every Sunday, today's Sunday, spend 30 minutes in the evening asking yourself, or to name for myself 5 blessings in my life for which I'm grateful, truly grateful. And hopefully, the book says, include 2 people you love. I'm grateful for that. What are 5 blessings in my life? Write them down and spend 30 minutes, put aside 30 minutes, going over them and allowing yourself to feel the joy of that gratitude because of that blessing. Just 5 blessings, which includes 2 people. And then during the rest of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, go over them, spending 5 minutes in the evening and in the morning, again, feeling the joy of that gratitude of those blessings. When Sunday comes, add 2 more blessings and continue that. They tried that as an experiment. They found out it changes the wiring of the brain. Then you really begin to understand even that wonderful, wise saying, Jamal, if you're expressing gratitude in times of difficulties, afflictions, you're giving thanks for unknown blessings already on their way. Okay, that was the practice of gratitude. You can do it anytime. A third one, choose a mantra, a word or sentence. It doesn't have to be religious. Love, compassion, Jesus, I love you. Om Mane Padme Hum, that's Buddhist. Soham, Hamsa, Hindu. Allah, 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 Islamic. And repeat that as often as you can in your waking hours and in your meditation. And you'll be surprised how it colors you, how it shifts you, how something evolves within you, how something beautiful emerges from within. So people, my friends tell me, well, give me some evidence. Why would it work? So I give 2 examples. One is from India. As you have heard many times, in India, festivals are very popular. And a festival is really a festival if you have elephants. That's a real festival. Oh, that's magical. But the problem with elephants is that the trunks are always swaying. It lashes at people. It overturns those flimsy vendor carts with food. It overturns. So almost as a joke, these people went to these gurus in the mountains. Do you have a technique to prevent this swaying of the trunk of the elephant? And to their utter shock and surprise, those sages said, yes, we do. What do we do? Take a stick, they said, of any size, put it in the trunk of the elephant. See what happens. They took a small stick, they placed it in the trunk of the elephant, they curled it up, held it, and immediately the swaying became less and less and less and less and less. How did you know this? Well, we've been doing this with the minds of human beings for centuries. Plant a word or sentence in the mind, focus on it, and just repeat it. That's a stick. Again and again and again and again. Then what happens, that rattle of the cage of monkeys becomes less and less and less and less and less. Not convinced? I would tell my friends. Okay, let me give another example. The vat of dye. This is in many traditions. A pot of dye, D-Y-E, color. You take a cloth, you put it in the vat of dye, you take it out, it has a beautiful color. But what happens? It fades over time. But what happens if you dip that cloth in the vat of dye again and again and again and again and again and again? There comes a time it becomes color fast. So by repeating a mantra again and again, it begins to color me. It begins to shift something within me. Okay, one or two more. I love the practice, that's why I always share it. You know, the holy books say Allah or Spirit is outside of you and inside of you. But where inside of you? And the traditions say inside the innermost chambers of your heart. Amazing that God is outside of me and also inside of me, inside my heart. This is a very magical space. The sages say this, the space of the human heart is actually infinite. And then the Quran says, every so where you turn is the face of Allah. Every so where you turn, in your face is the tree, the animal, my enemy, the stone. Everywhere you turn is the face of Allah. So what is the practice? Which is my favorite. As often as I can, in my waking hours, in my meditation, I tell my heart, I love you. Unabashedly, I'm not shy about it. Some say, oh, it feels so narcissistic, strange. No, I'm telling it to the divinity within me. And also, when I walk or in my car, I'm sending out light and love, because every so where you turn is the face of Allah. Okay, two more. One is very important one for me, because Prophet Muhammad loved it. It's called, we would call it sacralizing mundane moments. Every moment is actually sacred, but for me it's mundane. So how did it start? Prophet Muhammad, every time he would walk through the door, which is a mundane action, he would make it a prayer. He would convert that into a prayer. So as he would walk through the door, he would say, oh God, please open to me the doors of thy mercy. Open to me the doors of thy mercy. So the practice is, can you choose 2 or 3 or 4 mundane events and make that into a prayer? So when I drove my car, also almost automatically, because it's become, to me, robotic, but it's very meaningful. Every time I drive my car, I say, oh God, please steer me in the right direction. When I go home today, I'll take my clothes off to sleep. Oh God, may I be peeling off layers of my ego. Then my friends say, what happens when you put your clothes back? I say, oh God, may these layers that I'm putting back on be a mantle of divine protection. Taking a shower, may these waters purify and cleanse all that needs to be cleansed and purified from within me. So think of 2 or 3 events that you are engaging in every day. Make it a prayer and add 1 or 2 more every week or every month. You'll be surprised at how life can change for you. The Sufis say, if you do this exercise, doors open for you, literally and metaphorically. Okay, now the best news of all. I'm coming to an end. What is the best exercise I find is laughter. I love the words of Hafiz. What is this love and laughter bubbling up from within you? He says, listen to my answer. It's the sound of a soul waking up. And the other one, Kerry, will you remember the other one? I don't know if you do. By Hafiz, who says, God wants to see what? Because? My dear friend Kerry, who so graciously takes every class that I teach, just to support me. She's so gracious. That's the words of Hafiz, that God wants to see more laughter, more playfulness in your eyes, because that is your greatest witness to God. So many years ago, in the early 1990s, I should stand up here with Karen, and I would say, let's do laughter yoga. You've heard of that practice, laughter yoga? The biggest, fastest growing spiritual movement, you'll be surprised to know, is laughter yoga. So let's just do it. Put your hands up like this. Look up there, and it's okay, my friends, thank you so much. After all that laughter, let's have one piece of music.
Shalom, 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 salam, 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 shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shalom, 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 salam, 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 shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shalom, 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 salam, 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 shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om, shanti, shanti om.
Let's go like this to Sister Ayla, who has been so gracious in offering her exquisite gifts for us. In fact, some of you were here on Friday. She did a beautiful program singing praises to Tara. goddess of kindness, right? Of wisdom and kindness and abundance in the Buddhist tradition, in honor of Karen. And it was so lovely. I really thank you for that. My friends, a short meditation. Close your eyes. Focus on your nostril and simply be present with the breath as we inhale and as we exhale, just this much. And now, letting go of this, and this time, focusing on the first chakra. Chakra means wheel-like opening in Sanskrit. An opening at the base of the spine, in the sacrum area. And make an intention. Intention equals action in the subtle realms. Make an intention to send out a cord of divine light, any color, flowing from the first chakra, sacrum area, going down, way down, deep, deep, deep into Mother Earth, connecting us to the womb of Mother Earth. Feel that connectedness, rootedness, sense of belonging. And now letting go of this, and this time, focus on the crown of the head, the crown chakra, a very spiritual opening, and make an intention from the crown chakra, pouring out a beautiful cord of divine light, filled with love, blessings, healing, power, going upwards. Any color. Up, up, way up, piercing those mysterious realms and connecting us to the heart of heaven. Feel that bonding with mysterious realms. And now letting go of that, and this time, please focus on that mysterious organ we call the heart. Our heart has been yearning to connect with us, bond with us. And the Prophet Muhammad said, God revealed in a dream that Spirit said, Divinity said, God said, O beloved one, meaning us. O beloved one, God says, I cannot be contained in the space of the earth. I cannot be contained in the space of the heavens, but I can be contained in the space of the pure, loving heart. Just be with that mystery. Divine heart is inside human heart. And now please, tell your heart, which is infinite in space, who resides our beloved with a capital B. Those words, pour it inside with feeling, I love you. I love you. Unabashedly, with feeling, I love you. If it's uncomfortable, you can say, please help me to love you. You can add any other words. Thank you. I am so grateful. You can continue. Please help me. I need help. I surrender to you. Please help me. Anything else you want to add? But say it again and again and again and again as you pour it inside the innermost chambers of the heart. One can never overdo this. And please know, as we keep saying those words, a most magical, divine vibration filled with divine blessings, healing, love, empowerment is going from the tongue into the mouth, into the throat, into the chest, into the heart, and then into the hidden, and then even deeper into what is called the hidden of the hidden, amazingly loving us, blessing us, healing us, transforming us. And now, stop saying anything at all. And one last step, focusing on the heart, where the space is infinite, which is a wellspring of eternal love, compassion, mercy. From the heart now, make an intention to pour out light and love. Pouring out light and love in an outward, expansive direction. Feel it, sense it, see it. Light and love pouring from the innermost chambers of the heart in an outward, expansive direction. And now letting go of everything, becoming very still as we chant together, Bismillah, in the name of God, boundlessly compassionate, infinitely merciful, all is one, coming into awareness. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. One more time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. And gently opening your eyes. And Saliju, I'll request you to ask for any offering.
Thank you so much, Jamal, for that beautiful service, and Isla for your last-minute rescue of us in our music today, and being so beautiful with your offering of music. And I know Karen was here with us today, just enjoying this service so much, and enjoying the presence of all of us here who are dedicated to this interfaith worship that we have been doing for so long together. And this historic building, which Karen and Jamal, inherited, and which we spend a lot of time and money keeping it up to the utmost of our ability to make it service all of us and all of our programs and all of the neighborhood around here. We are very delighted to be able to keep this building in good shape, and it's thanks to your donations that we are able to do that, keep the lights on and the heat on. And also I will mention that it has been requested by several people, and we've decided to open a fund, a memorial fund for Reverend Karen. This will be part of the church's fund, of course, but we will use it specifically for some specific purposes. If money comes in, we will use it, first of all, to help support some of the expenses that the family has incurred here recently, and also perhaps to beautify the outside of the building, the projects that we're working on. Our guiding council will make special effort to use this particular fund in the ways that Karen would have most loved and appreciated. If you want to do that, it doesn't have to be done today specifically, but as you think about it and ponder it, if you feel so moved, you can write a check to ICS and put in the subject line Karen's Fund or Karen's Memorial Fund. You can do that online. Those of you who are giving online can designate that your money be put toward that if you wish, and we keep track of what's there and have very intentional use of that money in a way that we feel that Karen would have wanted us to beautify this place and memory of all the lifelong work and all of the energy that she's put into this work. But really, the work, as Jamal was saying, is right here, right now, in our hearts and in our community. So thank you for all that we do every day to make that possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Jo. We just mind passing.
Yeah.
And of course, we pray that whatever you give is returned to you many, many, many fold. Sister Ali, if you don't mind playing one more song, then we'll end it. Yeah.
Allahu, 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 Allahu. Allahu, 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 Allahu. Allahu, 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 Allahu.
Sister Ayla, let's again go like this to Sister Ayla. Sister Sally Jo, may I ask you to bless this money?
I would offer a prayer from the Quran rendered into English that really has been singing in my heart for the last 2 weeks now, and for a long time forward, I'm sure it will be. In the name of God, infinitely compassionate, infinitely merciful, infinitely merciful. This is from Surah 50. Paradise will be brought near to the God-conscious. No longer will it be distant. This is what was promised for you. To everyone who would turn to God and keep God always in remembrance. To everyone who would turn to God and keep God always in remembrance. The rest of it has flown away from me. I think that it explains to us that this promise of God, the reward that he gives us, is brought to us free of charge, and we can enjoy it and experience it at all times in our lives, and especially when we pass to the other side. Amen.
But most of all, we thank you with the feeling with which you recited that, and know that your tears are very, very holy. Please blow on this. Okay. So now we're all multi-insured. Yeah, please, upcoming gatherings, yeah.
Yeah, we have a wonderful array of activities that go on all week long during our week and all month long here at the sanctuary, and sometimes on Zoom in remote courses and remote classes. And the week in advance is coming out every Monday now. Our web helper Chiaki Weatherford is now helping us to send out the weekly announcements that Karen always sent out prior to this, and it has a listing of all the different classes that we meet on the different days of the week. You can also find that on our website under upcoming gatherings on the side of the website. And anyone who has signed up for that newsletter through our website should be getting that announcement now. There was a little hiatus when people were not getting it, and we apologize for that. But we have we've worked it out and re-upped it again. And if several people had told me they weren't getting the announcements. I hope everybody's getting the announcements now. And there's also a membership group, a Google group, that all of us who are members of the sanctuary can send out reminders or announcements of our special events coming up. So keep in touch. Check our website periodically, if you will. We're doing some work on that to make it easier to get to. And there is a donate button there, and there are ways you can look up the ministerial staff and the different Sunday, every Sunday is a different worship service. And the fourth Sunday now is so next Sunday is being hosted by George, our special person who's so famously running our Eckhart class. And George Ramirez will be offering the fourth Sunday worship every fourth Sunday now. Do you want to say anything about that, George, about what we can expect on the fourth Sunday?
Well, just briefly, Reverend Karen, before she passed, she asked me to fill in for her on the fourth Sundays, which has been her traditional Sunday service. And so what else can I do but say yes to that? And so in my own way, I will do what I can to continue the ideas and the message that Karen so lovingly presented. And in large part, it's going to be reinforcing our discernment for the year, which this year is making a home for the mystic heart, and deepening our understanding together of that. So that's the primary thrust of that. Thank you.
And then we also want to mention that we have just yesterday set the date for the memorial service for Reverend Karen in conjunction with her family's wishes. We have chosen the date of March 30th. That's a Saturday. It is the day before Easter, and it will be held in the afternoon. We haven't nailed the time exactly, but there will be an announcement going out this week, and we do hope to make it in the afternoon so people can come and feel safe driving. And this will be after daylight saving time starts, so it'll be a little lighter in the evenings. And we do hope that you can attend if you wish, and it will be, as I said, it will be announced on the website and on our mailings and so on. And there are other events going on that we will continue to advertise to you through our website. And we hope you'll keep in touch and be on our announcement list so you'll get the emails as well. Okay.
Thank you so much, Sally Jo. And of course, I want to tell you the news gets better. We're coming to an end now. And so I want to say, we'll do a blessing, and after the blessing, we'll say goodbye to our wonderful friends who are on cyberspace. Yeah, and the news gets even better because the real service starts where? Not up here, downstairs, with these beverages and food, and this service consists of fellowship, connecting with one another over food and drink. That's the real service. And you've heard me say this 1,000 times. They've done so much research in all the world conferences that the real learning happens when? Coffee breaks and lunchtime. Okay. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide with you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. Goodbye to our cyberspace.